Hello, universe! My name is Zachary Conan, and I just finished 1976 film Mikey and Nicky by Elaine May, starring John Cassavetes and Peter Falk, as well as Ned Beatty. And I'm astonished, I'm crushed, actually. I wanted to do this review immediately after watching it because I felt like the film had such an authentic vibe and flavor and atmosphere that I want to be as honest with you as that film just was with me. So here are my raw, my visceral emotions upon watching that film. I'm stunned. I really am stunned. We actually haven't covered specifically anything specifically about John Cassavetes on the channel. I probably mentioned him dozens of times, though, because he's one of my favorite symbols of American independent cinema. He's one of my favorite people to have ever been involved in movies. And we're still not technically covering one of his own films. This was directed by Elaine May. And directed remarkably well, by the way. Elaine May is someone who had just as much to do with the reinvention of screen acting as Cassavetes did, in her own way. In her own very precise, behind-the-scenes kind of way. Of course, if you've ever seen a John Cassavetes film, you know that the acting is unlike any you have ever seen. In fact, I think it's unfair to compare anyone in that Cassavetes troupe to any other actor, because when you watch a performance by John Cassavetes, Peter Falk, Jenna Rowlands, Seymour Cassell, or Ben Gazzara, you're not watching something that you can fairly compare to anyone else. Because the acting is beyond realism, beyond pure, beyond authentic. It is challenging, confrontational, it is metaphysical. It's not visual. It's incredible. And what happens with the John Cassavetes film is it doesn't really have too much of an interest in what's going on with his audience. Elaine May does. Elaine May wanted to tell this gangster story about betrayal, about masculine identities, about the ultimate Judas friendship, the ultimate Judas kiss. This is really a film of Judas kissing Jesus on the cheek for an hour and 45 minutes. And it's completely crushing, and you definitely do get some Samuel Beckett vibes. This is definitely an absurdist film, philosophically. Meaningful creatures in a meaningless environment, or vice versa, depending on how horrifyingly you view the universe. And there are definitely absurdist qualities. You get the idea of waiting for Godot, Vladimir and Estragon, but like our new kind of like postmodern absurdist versions like of them for the new age, or for the American genre picture. That's really the kind of thing that you get. And there's something brilliant about Elaine May's direction in that she does care about the audience. There's quite a lot of thought to the framing of this film. Scenes make sense, and there is some really delicate, really cool, like indie, like New York, mid-70s flavor to the cinematography involved. There are some really, really interesting shots, and some of the scenes are really interesting the way that she decides to compose them, which you don't get a whole lot of composure at all during a John Cassavetes directed film. And also, while I think Peter Falk's best performances are probably in either Husbands, A Woman Under the Influence, or, gosh, even Columbo, Mikey and Nicky is John Cassavetes' best performance. I was astonished by how good John Cassavetes was in this film, by the amount of pathos he was able to emit, and the pure amount of raw, visceral emotionality I was able to receive from the film. He put so much into that film, and it completely astonished me. I am astonished by John Cassavetes in that film. And to say that it's his best performance is akin for me to saying like blank is Marlon Brando's best performance, because John Cassavetes is on a level with a few very ineffable performers, and Mikey and Nicky is worth watching just to see one of the greatest performances I have ever seen. Because if it's the best John Cassavetes performance as an actor, then it has to be one of the best performances ever captured on film. And I'm happy that Elaine May took it upon herself to document and photograph John Cassavetes at his most authentic, most raw, most perfect. And perhaps if Cassavetes directed this film himself, he wouldn't have been able to give himself over to that sort of vulnerability, that sort of honesty, that sort of unafraid pathos, unafraid just emotionality. I was astonished by John Cassavetes in this film. I was really thrilled by Elaine May's direction. It's not without its flaws, but it's forgiven because it has that indie flavor, that indie atmosphere that just radiates through the whole thing. And I know that she actually knew like people who were connected to the mob or to crime, and this is like a true story that she knew in her own mind. Like she knew these two people. She knew these two people. This story actually happened. This is a true story of betrayal. But since you have the likes of Peter Falk and John Cassavetes acting out the roles, it goes so much deeper than that on a severely masculine level. And it's really interesting that a female director made such a disturbing look at masculine identity, at the cracks within it, and at the betrayals that seem to define the masculine character. She did it so well. She did that so well, and I'm just floored and astonished. And I want you guys to get my visceral and raw emotions when it came to this film. I think it's absolutely pure. Pure American independent cinema. Pure American art house is Mikey and Nicky. It's wonderful. And inevitably you have to compare it to the John Cassavetes films, and it doesn't hold a candle to his 70s work, I do have to say, or 60s. I mean, I think that Faces, Woman Under the Influence, Husbands, and Opening Night, at the very least, are all superior films to Mikey and Nicky. But Mikey and Nicky works on a completely different level, because it is a completely different kind of film. John Cassavetes would never have framed scenes this way. John Cassavetes, I don't think, would ever allow himself to be, as a performer, as outrageously full of emotion, truth, and power as he was able to be in Elaine May's film. And just on the merits of that, you need to watch it. You need to watch how Elaine May directs someone like John Cassavetes, who is known for being increasingly more difficult to direct the more films that he made, but he deeply respected Elaine May. And that should say a lot. And Peter Falk and Ned Beatty, these are really just wonderful, wonderful performers. Wonderful performances all around. John Cassavetes just floored me, though. My heart is still just aching and throbbing from the dynamics of his acting abilities in this specific film. It's definitely a film that says a lot about betrayal through a strictly masculine sort of lens. And it really hits you hard if you're being honest with yourself and with your own flaws and shortcomings and your own anger and derangements and your own toxicity. If you're honest with yourself, this film can deeply affect you, like it deeply affected me. I definitely think this is a brilliant, brilliant film, and I can't believe it took me 29 years to watch it. It was completely beautiful. I just wanted to share that with you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, definitely do so. Like the video. YouTube really digs audience engagement, so show them that I know how to engage with you. And to Mikey and Nicky. Oh, God. Light a smoke for Mikey and Nicky, everybody. Oh, my God. All hail Mikey and Nicky. Thank you guys for watching.